Welcome back to Real Trailer Life. In this episode, we are covering
days 16 through 28.
Everything on our epic Alaska journey, from smoke-filled mountains to glacier views to moose sightings and muddy frost heaves.
Really bad roads.
This lake was full of wild views, great people, and some RV curveballs.
Yeah. So on day 15, we decided to reroute due to the wildfires. And we've talked about that before. Those were the ones by Fort Nelson. So we, instead of going up the Alaska Highway,
we decided to take the Stewart Cassier Highway. It's a little bit more remote. It's a little bit more rugged, but it is an absolutely stunning alternative drive.
So let's dive in. Day 16. We were headed to Prince George, British Columbia.
So we left Hinton and we drove through Jasper and all the way to Prince George. We stayed at a great park there called the Northern Experience RV Park. And that's where we met Jon. The people that were next to us, we did not know Maribeth at the time. We did not meet Maribeth when we were there. We met Jon. He was a nice guy. They were parked right next to us in a Class A.
They were also on their way to Alaska. And we talked about routes with them. We also found out that they are going to be at Albuquerque Balloon Fiesta. So that'll be fun to see them down the road there too.
So the RV park was nice. The sites were nice. They were grassy. And we were just like 11 miles south, I think, of Costco. We also had our first experience with the Real Canadian Superstore.
Yeah, we're not 100% sold yet. Pat felt it was way too big.
You know, those
the
aisles
were
are
super long.
So long, and they had so much packed into them. For me, it was just a little too big. So we left Northern RV Experience and we went to Witset Campground near Smithers, British Columbia.
You threw the drone up because of the beautiful river view.
Yeah, and I got some actual great pictures of our RV there. And that's actually where we also met Maribeth, the other half of Jon and Maribeth. And they were a great couple. We just hit it off. And
that evening we shared, I think it was a bottle of wine, and the next evening was margaritas.
Yeah, I mean, we just had a great time with them. And again, we got to learn more about what their trip was going to be, and they were pretty much heading to the same place that we were heading to, which was our next stop in Stewart, British Columbia.
Yeah.
When we left Witset, we drove to the cutoff for Stewart, or Highway 37A. And I'll tell you what, that drive is one of the most beautiful drives I think I've ever taken.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful views, bad roads.
Yes, there were some potholes, there were some rough roads, there were some areas that we had to slow down. We were able to pull the RV off and take some photos of the Brinkley with Bear Glacier in the background. Mm-hmm. And then when we got into Bear River RV Park, it had just started to rain. And boy, those mosquitoes, they came out of the woodwork just like that as soon as it started to rain. But we got all set up. The thing about this campground is everywhere you looked, it was almost like we were in a box canyon, because every single view around us had snow-capped mountains. The day that we arrived at Bear River RV Park, Jon and Maribeth were having troubles with their Jeep, and we offered to let them tag along with us on the next day when we were going to drive up to Salmon Glacier. We hit the road at 7 o'clock in the morning. We crossed over into Alaska. There's no border patrol crossing going in from British Columbia into Hyder, Alaska. And we stopped and we took some fun photos at the border crossing there. We also stopped at Fish Creek, which is a bear viewing spot when the salmon are running. Of course, the salmon weren't running, but
it was a beautiful location, a beautiful boardwalk that you can walk. So when the bears are there, when the salmon is running, you're up above the river and protected by a whole walkway with fence.
Yeah, and they say it's one of the best viewing spots for bear eating salmon in all of the Alaska trip, but that
wasn't the right time of year for the
us.
Salmon for us. So
then we continued on our way up to the Salmon Glacier viewpoint. Now
and at that one spot, remember, we met. There was a truck coming down.
Yeah, one of the pull-offs, there was a truck that was coming down. They were coming down from the top. And so he said, hey, you know, can we get up to the top? And they're like, you have four-wheel drive? And we're like, sure, we have four-wheel drive. And he says, no problem, you'll make it up to the top. And so he also said, you're going to have to wait until we get this backhoe up to the top, because we're going to take up the whole road, and if you try to come back down, we're going to win. And so we took that advice.
It didn't matter. We got to spend the whole time up on top just with drop-dead gorgeous scenery all around us.
Yeah, we were up on top of the glacier for about an hour and a half. But the interesting thing is, after we met those guys, and as we were driving up the road, we pulled over and let the guy pass us, and he kind of led the way. And when we got up to the very top of the viewpoint, the snowplow that he was driving was still running. And so they had literally just finished clearing this road. And he walked up to us and he greeted us.
You guys are officially the first tourists that arrived on the summit in 2025.
Wow.
That is awesome.
Which was pretty cool.
That is way cool.
And we spent, I want to say we were up there for an hour and a half at least, just waiting for that backhoe, but just totally enjoying the views of the Salmon Glacier. You'll see some pictures in the video that we're going to put on here as well. And then, one of the things that I remember as we were driving back down is all of the waterfalls. I mean, there was literally hundreds of waterfalls.
There was a lot of waterfalls, and I wanted pictures of all of them, and we didn't get all of them, of course, but we got a lot, and they're just so beautiful.
And then when we got back down to the bottom, we had to go through customs, the Canadian customs, to get back into Stewart, British Columbia.
And we were on our way to go to a Mexican restaurant that the gal from the campground said we have to go to.
It was called El Tostarito, and it was a toaster museum.
Yeah, it was called Toastworks.
But the food there was phenomenal.
Beautiful, fresh, homemade.
And she was just great.
It was well worth it. It was so much fun. And again, we got to spend that time with Jon and Maribeth, so it was perfect.
So then we left there. We drove back down 37A. We drove from Stewart to Dease Lake, British Columbia, and
We saw a grizzly.
We did. Oh, that's right. We saw a grizzly and we saw a black bear.
Yeah.
Now, we were able to photograph the grizzly.
Mm-hmm.
We were not able to photograph the black bear.
No, she was too quick to get in the woods.
Yeah. Black bears are a little bit more skittish of people. Grizzlies, they could care for the most part. So the road conditions as we got closer to Dease Lake deteriorated. And we camped at Water's Edge Campground, which was right on the shores of Dease Lake. Now, Dease Lake is like 28 miles long and 250 feet deep at its deepest point.
Big lake. There's a lot of big lakes up here.
So Water's Edge Campground is a no hookup campground, and so we were boondocking, but because we have that system from ABC Upfitters, we had no worries about that at all. If you're thinking about getting a solar package in your RV, we highly encourage you to reach out to ABC Upfitters. They put in at the final end, we have 2,500 watts of solar. We have 920 amps of lithium batteries, a couple solar controllers. We have a 3,500 watt inverter and a DC to DC charger. So we really are a boondocking beast. So when we have to go without hookups, we really don't worry about having no hookups. If you're interested in getting a solar package from ABC Upfitters, we encourage you to reach out to them. They can be reached at 574-333-3225, or you can email them at sales@abcupfitters.com. They're an amazing company, and they've done some amazing work for us on our RV and our solar package.
The other couple that we saw again was Brad and Pat.
So
they were pulling in, and their spot was super sweet, right overlooking the lake.
So we met Brad and Pat when we were at Bear River RV Park in Stewart, but we just kind of waved, and we told them, as we were pulling out, we told them that we were going up to Dease Lake, and they said they were too. So we ended up connecting with them up in Dease Lake, and super nice couple. It's really interesting that you run across these people on this trip up to Alaska that you run into again and again and again.
That is one of the, we're just so fortunate to have met such wonderful people along this epic journey with the views and the beauty around us, and then developing some great connections with with the people on the same path.
So then we woke up early and we hit the road and we drove to Watson Lake. On the way to Watson Lake, this is where we experienced a really bad gravel pit and a big, huge pothole that damaged our fender on our Brinkley. And we'll put a link to the video right up here so that you can see the video of the damage and the fix that we did. That was recommended by Brinkley in order to take care of that. And then on the way up to Watson Lake, we crossed into the Yukon territory. So we were leaving British Columbia, and this is really our last section of Canada that we need to go through in order to get to Alaska.
We also had our first experience with the RV whoops.
Yeah.
And our door popped open again.
Our door kept opening on our RV, and I finally pulled out some blue painter's tape and I taped the door shut until we could get the door fixed. That worked until we got to Watson Lake. We got to Watson Lake, we stayed at the downtown RV park. Now,
Our original plan was 4 nights there. I'm really glad that we ended up only staying 2. I would even suggest 1 is probably enough. The main goal that we wanted to accomplish there was putting up our Real Trailer Life sign at the signpost forest. Other than that, the downtown, the owner's very friendly, but it's like a big parking lot.
it was dusty, and the RVs were really close together. We'll throw up a picture so you can see exactly how close.
But it was really fun going to the signpost forest.
So we had Candy from Candy's Creations create signs for us, and they were on an aluminum license plate. So we went over to the signpost forest and we hung those signs up. We'll show you some video of us putting up the signs, and we'll also show you some pictures of the signs after we put them up.
And a shout out to Wild RV Life, because we found Shine. One of the signs that they had put up, we found, and it was really exciting. So
we took a picture of that and we sent it to Craig and Victoria, and they responded, and so it was kind of fun just to be able
that
to
was
have
the only one we saw.
connection.
We looked a long time. We walked and walked and walked through, and in fact we revisited again with the dogs.
We did. We walked down there later in the day.
But again, thanks to Brad and Pat, who gave us their ladder to use, because ours is really buried. Rookie mistake for going to the signpost forest.
Well, they also had an A-shaped ladder, and ours is just a straight telescoping ladder, and it would have damaged any kind of pole or sign if we would have tried to use that. Shout out to Pat and Brad for letting us use their 4-foot ladder. So then we left there and we drove to Tagish, Yukon, which is about 14 miles off of the Alaska Highway. Small town, and we ended up staying at a place called the 6-Mile River Resort. And when we pulled in, it seemed a little sketchy at first.
Yeah, it did.
It turned out to be a nice place. We had a back-in
water and
electric site, but the interesting thing is they had a restaurant/bar there, which was actually pretty good.
And an eagle.
Yeah, we did get some pictures of, there was 2 bald eagles that were flying around, and we were able to get photographs of both of those, one with the Brinkley in the foreground and the eagle in the background.
The food was really good at the restaurant, and we did eat out both nights that we were there.
Yeah,
the first night you had halibut.
I had a halibut burger, and you had a halibut.
Grilled halibut. And then the second night we had some homemade pizza that was,
really,
all of it was good. It was so fresh and so yummy.
Really delicious. But there were lake view sites, and this is again another one of those big, huge lakes. And that's where we really started to experience the land of the midnight sun. When we started to really realize that the sun was not setting, and that was kind of different. We woke up early the next morning to go and photograph wildlife along the Tagish River. We actually were able to take some photographs of a black bear sitting in the field just munching on some wildflowers.
We didn't go all the way into Atlin because there actually was a wildfire outside of there, and the road was closed further down.
And then when we left 6-Mile River Resort at Tagish,
we're right about day 26 now.
Yeah, and a gal that was in the bar told us that we should take the trailer when we leave, rather than going back up to the Alaska Highway the way that we came, is to take the back roads to Carcross and then go up, and you take a right to go north up to Whitehorse, but there was a lake there called Emerald Lake. Now this is the second Emerald Lake that we've experienced on this trip, but this lake was beautiful.
And Pat climbed up a hill that was on the other side of the street so that he could get a picture of the Brinkley sitting with the lake behind it, and it was well worth the hard hike up.
Because that water was just this
Gorgeous.
really green and had these
Turquoise.
different.
It's beautiful.
It was really cool.
Emerald.
Yeah, Emerald.
That's the name.
And then we stayed at the High Country RV Park in Whitehorse. Now, Whitehorse was a stop for us to kind of get ourselves prepared to cross the border.
It's a nice campground, although I would suggest if you have a big RV to make sure you book a longer site because some of them are pretty short. And we ran into Pat and Brad there too.
We did, and we ended up spending one evening having conversations
Yeah, it
with
was
them.
fun.
Now, the day that we got there, we had just gotten set up. We were just kind of relaxing after a day of travel, and a lady came up and knocked on our door.
Oh, that's right.
And she introduced herself and said that she follows us, or she's following us on our posts that we've been putting on the Milepost, RVing to Alaska Milepost Facebook page. So we ended up meeting her. Her name was Rosemary, and her husband's name was Mike. And Mike was going to go golfing. And
So Pat went golfing with them.
And the interesting thing is we had a tee time for 6:30 p.m. And if you know anything about golf, 18 holes of golf takes about 5 hours. And we got off the course around 11 p.m., still bright as day. It was kind of fun to be golfing at 11 o'clock at night.
And Rosemary and I hung out, had conversation and a couple of drinks, and waited for the guys to come back. Just got to know each other. It was fun.
At this campground, this is also where we discovered that we had damage to the fender on our Brinkley. We had taken some pictures and we'd sent that out to Brinkley, and Brinkley responded and said, yep, that's a known issue for people that are swapping out their leaf spring suspension systems for the touring coil suspension, and there was a modification that we needed to make to the fenders in order to prevent any more damage. I'll put the link up here again in case you want to see the video of what that fix was, but it was just basically taking an oscillating tool, cutting off part of the fenders, and then that took care of the issue.
So Rosemary and Mike had left the next day. They were going along the same route that we were going to go, and so she said she'd text and let us know how the roads were.
So we were getting kind of firsthand information as they were ahead of us, so we knew what to anticipate, like the roads were going to become really bad once we hit Destruction Bay, which they did.
Yeah.
Originally, we were going to spend a night at a boondocking spot on the south side of the lake there at Destruction Bay, but we decided to push forward, and we ended up getting reservations at Discovery Yukon Lodging, and I'm really glad that we did that.
Yeah, it would have been a really short travel day, and the Discovery Yukon Lodging is a very nice base.
Full hookup sites.
Yeah, full hookup sites, and there was like an old airfield or used airfield, a small airfield.
Yeah, and
but it was like a big green running area, and the dogs just needed it.
There's a helicopter that kept coming in and landing right there as well. So there is some kind of an airport or landing strip there. Indy and Ruby just ran around like
they had so much fun. They needed it. It's been such a long time. You know, that's one of the things I think I've noticed the most about traveling through Canada is there aren't dog parks. Like as far as at campgrounds, there's not fenced in areas for dogs, and some of them don't even really have any grass areas. So that's been a challenge for them, but this place was perfect. And we only did a one night. We didn't unhook.
Nope.
And then we met some guys from Texas that we've actually seen at some of the other campgrounds too, and they're on their way.
And then also we saw some wild horses on the side of the road, which was kind of interesting because we hadn't seen wild horses before. I'd heard about them, and I think somebody else that we ran into said that they saw one wild horse off in the distance.
This was a bunch of them, and we also noticed that some of them had bells on, and so we had to look that up, and of course it's because they're owned by somebody, and usually it's only the females that have a bell, and it also keeps bear away.
Also at Discovery Yukon, and the other nice thing about it is it gave us time to prepare to cross the border into Alaska.
Which is happening
so
the next day.
We were able to get all of our passports and our dog paperwork for rabies all together so that we could cross the border tomorrow.
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 Tomorrow. They cross the border into Alaska tomorrow.
What a leg of the journey that was, going from basically Jasper, Alberta, all the way up to the Yukon, just miles away from the Alaska border. I mean, it's unforgettable. It's just some of the beauty that we saw, and the roads were unforgettable as well.
We took it slow.
Yeah.
We knew.
If you're enjoying this type of content, please like this video, subscribe to our channel so that you can get notification when our next video comes out. Until next time, safe travels, stay adventurous, and keep living that real trailer life. Bye-bye.
See ya.